Welcome to episode number 5 of Media Literacy Lecture Series. Today, in this episode, we are going to discuss about how to interpret media content. In the earlier episodes, we have discussed about the role of media in meaning making. Largely, the individual's knowledge system is being shaped by media and communication system. Largely, because our encountering with a real world scenario is limited, confined to certain areas, and national level, international level, different stakeholders, different social institutions, various activities, we come to know about those events or institutions or individuals through media and communication system. And based on that information, we develop a knowledge about them. So largely our perception about the world highly controlled by or highly shaped by media and communication system. So in this context, as an audience of media, we have to be very careful while interpreting media content. Because ultimately what we are consuming, that will be retained in our system, in a memory, might be in our behavioral pattern very long time. So we have to be more choosy, careful while selecting, interpreting media content. So that's the plan of this episode. We're trying to understand how to understand and drive meaning from the media content. And what are the theories of semiotics, ideology, audience reception says, ideas about the media content and interpretation of media content. What are the tools to be used in order to critically engage with the media content? And interpretation is not a passive act. It involves active decoding by audiences. And media literacy empowers viewers to understand underlying media biases and stereotypes and other issues. As you know, we discussed earlier also, the critical understanding, critical evaluation of media content is one of the pillars of media literacy. So in that context, this episode is being structured, and you can ask the questions. We gave an introduction, but why do we need to critically engage with the media? Because largely we are consuming the content, and media is more effective in presenting the content without much efforts. We should be able to enjoy or understand or learn something from the media. That's how the media system works. They are very creative, competitive, and they engage with the media audience in a very meaningful manner. So automatically, largely we used to confine ourselves into passive mode. We take the content and we'll enjoy the time, we'll move on that. But that's not the case. If you understand the behind the scene activities, you can realize that how critical, how crucial is in interpreting media content in a more meaningful manner. And remember that media messages are not neutral. Like a construction of building, based on bricks and cement and all, media content are created with bricks and mortars. Small information, sentences, sequences, shots, pictures, through which the media content are created. And it's been constructed to deliver certain particular meanings. And remember that once the message is being put out in the public, is being consumed by many sections of the people, it's not necessary that all of them consume and interpret, understand, enjoy, learn the messages from the messages in the same manner. Individuals comes from different walks of life, and different individuals and groups interpret the same content at a different level. And the interpretation is shaped by cultural, social, and personal context. Our experience matters. And understanding media content in a very critical manner helps us audience or common people to make informed decisions. This is very, very crucial. It's being repeated many times in the early episodes. Informed decision, not necessarily with our personal choices, and many of the choices goes beyond our individual level, goes family level, go beyond the family to the society. So that is the reason why the decision needs to be based on our own understanding, and the understanding comes from the media. So whatever understanding we are taking should be accurate, not based on any biased, stereotypical, manipulated content. An interpretation of media content in a critical manner resists the audience to identify the manipulations, identify the misinformation, identify the disinformation. If we are not able to identify those correct or wrong, distorted, manipulated content, then we are surrendering our knowledge system to the media manipulations. That's not a good sign, a good way of life. It's not good for the society as well. So that's one of the reasons why, and along with other factors, the media content needs to be interpreted in a very critical manner. And let us understand briefly about how the media messages are constructed. And remember that media content is selectively constructed using specific codes and conventions. If you take the newspaper, or if you take the radio program, if you take a television program, it's not done by one individual. It's a group work. Newsroom, we know how many people are involved. Maybe editors, correspondents, copy editors, photographer, designer. It's a teamwork. Many people are involved in creating media content. All these people may not have a same experience, may not come from the same cultural background, may not have the same social perspectives, might be having different ideological understanding. So each of them contributes certain things from their own personal level. A news report is written by a journalist by own way of selecting the letters, words, sentences, logical order, the way of presenting, and with the pictures are captured, edited, and positioned for the story. In every level, certain conventions are followed, certain codes are followed, and that all are loaded with many meanings. And these constructions are influenced by institutional, ideological, and economic interest. Remember that ultimately media is a business entity. They are working for the profit. And individual choices and institutional choices also matters. So all this interest, all these factors plays a crucial role while constructing the media content. Remember that point. And very importantly, while we are consuming the content, we have to recognize that how media content are generated, constructed, and that helps the common people to decode the hidden meanings. So this is very crucial. That is what the media literacy talks about. That media literacy helps the people to understand the communication system, to understand the media meanings, to understand the way of critically looking at the content. All the media messages represent a point of view, not necessarily reality. This is being explained in many contexts. The event happened and it's not reported directly as it is. If it is attended by a correspondent and notes being taken and back to the newsroom, and he writing the story as per his understanding and edited by somebody else, the other person not attended the event, but based on the report, based on the media convention codes, stories are edited and pictures are added, and the choice of pages are selected based on the prominence, and it's being published. So this is how the system works. So we have to be a little careful while understanding not necessarily media content as it is. All the other background information needs to be contextualized while understanding the messages. Media construction can shape perceptions, attitude, and public discourses. So this is the way the agenda, they set the agenda, they have some agenda to influence individuals, to influence the society. There are certain questions while we are engaging with the media, and one of the example from the Silverblatt's concept of understanding media content through media literacy perspectives. He is posing 5 important questions in order to understand any media messages. And primarily we have to ask who created this message. The person behind this message easily can understand that. And what techniques are used to attract attention. Media is very creative. Their business is to attract the attention of the audience and retaining the attention for a longer period of time. For that, they'll go to any extent of creativity to attract the attention. So creative technique also used extensively, that we have to be very careful about what techniques is being used to attract attention. How might different people understand this message differently? We have to be very careful. If I am understanding this, I am consuming this content, I am understanding this manner, other people, other groups, other sections might be understanding the same content in a different manner. So we have to think in the other side also. At what values and point of views are represented or omitted? Represented or omitted. Why this message is being sent? Particularly, what kind of motives behind the story? Is it economic motive, political motive, or social motive, or anything else? So, whenever time permits, whenever context provides a scope for us, we have to engage the media content in this kind of scenarios. With this kind of questions, if you ask, definitely you will get different understanding, different meanings from the media. And these questions guide the audience in decoding the content in a more appropriate manner that helps them to shape their knowledge system in a proper level. So that is a very crucial aspect of media literacy in understanding the media content. Another one of the classic theory that's Stuart Hall's encoding and decoding model. Though he proposed very long time back, possibly before this interactive media came into existence, hybrid model, and during 80s he proposed this model, and it's more valid and more relevant to the interactive media platform. And encoding and decoding model is more apt for media literacy. Let us understand this model that helps in the context of understanding the media content. Earlier, our understanding about the media is very powerful, and it delivers the information, and largely audience interpret the content in a similar manner. So this is the large understanding. It works in a linear manner. That's understanding says that media system works in a linear model. They deliver the content, audience accept that, receives the content, and they perform whatever functions is being designed and along with the content. But Stuart Hall's idea is the media delivers the content, but not necessary that all the people receives the content in a similar manner. Encoding is a process by which the producers insert the meaning into the media text. He says that this is what the media construction, all the philosophy of media construction says that. Decoding is an interpretation process done by audience. And audience may interpret the messages in a dominant, negotiated, and oppositional ways. He proposed 3 different scenarios in which audience usually engage with the media content. Because as we discussed some time back, the media interpretation of content by the audience shaped by the social, cultural, political, and economical interest of each groups. So interpretation happens in different level, but largely he categorized the interpretation in 3 levels: dominant and negotiated in oppositional ways. Meaning is not attached, fixed, but produced in the interaction between messages and the receiver. So it's a negotiation. Negotiation always is the continuous process in which meaning is being generated. And the negotiation capacity and meaning generation capacity based on the audience skills and competencies. And the Stewart Hall model indicates that the power of audience is very crucial in meaning making process. Power of audience means how capable we are in negotiating with the media content. That's called media literacy. It talks about the media individual power, horizontal power, vertical power. When we are in horizontal power, means we all are equal, that we have more control over the media content. So let us go into the three models of interpretation proposed by the Stewart Hall. The first one is a dominant hegemonic reading. This is the part of the encoding and decoding process of interpreting media content. The dominant interpretation says that, according to the Stewart Hall, audience accepts the preferred meaning encoded by the producers. Most likely, the producer and the receiver accept the same meaning, and because they comes from the same cultural, social background. Because then only because they more or less they share the same meaning of various codes and conventions. For example, audience watches a film that may resonate with the portrayal of army as a defender of national pride. If the producers and the audience comes from the same environment, social environment, and most likely both of them agree to the same meaning. So there won't be any deviation of different meaning making. So this is a dominant hegemonic reading, and largely happens in the media environment because the media is very works in a very specific group. Economic interest also plays a role. Political and social interest also plays a role. So this largely happens in the dominant hegemonic meaning. And the second part is negotiated reading. Negotiated reading says the audience partially agrees with the statement, messages, program and content, but they modify the content according to their own experiences. Earlier, the dominant level, whatever producer says, the content writer says, the audience accepts as it is because they comes from the same background and more or less shares similar experiences. So they tend to agree each other. In the negotiated reading, the audience accepts the content, but they modify the meaning according to the experiences. This response acknowledges the encoding messages, but reframes it through the more nuanced understanding based on the audience power of making a meaning from the content. For example, audience viewer agrees with the government's infrastructure project promoted in the media, but questions its environmental implications. Though the promotion campaign or news story or other content doesn't say anything about environmental implications, but promotes the project. It's beneficial. It brings what kind of changes and development in that particular region, everything. But the audience adds another value to that. Okay, it's good, but what could be the environmental implication? The question is raised by the audience. So this is a negotiated reading. This happens in many contexts. And let us understand the last reading, the interpretation model proposed by Stewart Hall is oppositional reading. Here, the audience understands the content, receives the content, understands the material, but rejects the preferred meaning. What is being proposed is being rejected by the audience. Rather than accepting the content, accepting the interpretation, the audience reinterpret the text using an alternative ideological framework based on their experiences. For example, a member of marginalized community may read a news report about urban development, but in a completely different manner, because might be the particular project not taken into consideration of various marginalized community. But the media might go along with the dominant ideology. In that case, they promote the urban development. So here the oppositional readings happen there. You can contextualize these 3 readings in your daily routine life. Many times we tend to agree with the content. Many times we agree with the content, but we'll add some value to it. Okay, meaning is okay, but it may not work in my situation, may not work in this current scenario. And sometimes media content, they are trying to deliver something, but definitely it's not true. So you easily you can classify your meaning making from the content in these 3 categories. So this is what the regular interaction happens, that part. And in the meaning making process, let us understand certain roles of other elements, because we have said media construction happens. Media always recreate the content, reconstruct the materials, either an entertainment content or reality content, and it by using various tools, methods, components. And one of the classic example perspective to understand interpreting content is social semiotics. Social semiotics is a process in which meaning is made through science with a social context. Because along with the text, along with the narration, there is other lot of other tools, signs, symbols are being used by the media in order to make a meaning more powerful. So we have to be conscious about, rather than the text narration, we have to be conscious about other supplementary signs and symbols in order to restrict or expand the media meaning making process. And meaning is not fixed one, it varies by cultural and social background. So that we have discussed. That's what the social semiotics also says, that media uses semiotic resources like images, language, sound to communicate the meaning. And in the text also, you can see one is a normal routine narrative style. Other than that, certain informations are highlighted, might be in italics, might be in bold, in a color, everything signifies. This is what the semiotics says, that image, composition, and the placement in the composition, and what angle is being taken, what are the importance being given, specific focus is being given. So the various meaning can be generated if you look into all the elements involved in the medium content. Interpretation is based on the sharing of codes and interpreters context. And whatever the codes and symbols, signs are used by the producers and needs to be understood by the audience clearly and based on the familiarity with those content, those symbols, those signs. And it requires certain kind of communication practices in order to understand those signs and symbols. And let us understand another aspect of interpretation. This is 3 levels of meaning making. The visual grammar, that also plays a crucial role in interpreting media content. One is representations. What is being depicted? What object, what people, what place is being depicted? How it's being depicted? The representation is a crucial, and the method of representation is very crucial in making interpretation and meaning. And interactional, how image is engaged with the user, what angle, what distance, with the focus, compositions, that also makes additional value addition to the meaning making. And compositional, representational, interactional, and compositional, how elements are arranged to guide the viewer's attention. With a classic example is newspaper front page story. Front page is very creatively designed, and you can understand that certain stories are very prominently displaced. Certain stories are which shares very limited space. Certain stories runs with colorfully pictures, infographics, and many things, and that all makes the additional value to the gives importance to the content. Layout, color, framing also contribute to the semiotic meaning. Each level interacts to influence how we make sense of visual media, and various elements plays a crucial role in the media making process. This also matters while engaging with the media content. And what are the tools being used in meaning making process? It's because understanding is required in both the level. I said in the earlier, the media construction process, they always engage with the codes and conventions. Each code, each convention carries certain meaning, certain values. And the other side, the audience should understand the same meaning. Then only they can get the actual meaning is being inserted in the message construction. For example, camera angles, lighting, sound, editing are not neutral. They guide interpretations. They give direction to the audience to interpret in particular direction method of consuming the content. Use of text, typography, color shapes the emotional and cognitive response from the audience. And the way the content is being presented in the newspaper front page story usually it's a major story, and the routine normal days, you see the front pages, you will find the differences. And multimodal text use several modes. For example, audio, video, textual, particularly in the online platform, the multiple media elements is being integrated, authored, in order to make a definite impact among the audience. Music and sound design can reinforce or subvert the visuals. Narration style and pacing influence the tone and direction of messages. The various ways in which the content is being presented. I told you about semiotics, I told you about grammar, and I told you this is about the tools of making meanings. And this is the gap, and sometimes creates trouble. If the audience and the media content shares the same level of understanding about all these grammar tools, semiotic tools, sign symbols, then the audience is able to enjoy whatever is being intended for them. If there is a gap between the understanding which is being delivered, which is being consumed, if there is a gap, then automatically it may not fulfill the intention of the communicator. And from the beginning, in the many episodes, we talked about the transition of power dynamics, the vertical flow of information versus horizontal flow of information. And in the Stewart Hall also makes the same part, that the power of meaningful meaning making depends upon the power of audience capability. So audience also plays a crucial role in interpretation, making audience capability and skills. They are active participants in interpreting media content. They are no longer passive. That's what largely understood. Interpretation is influenced by factors like age, gender, class, and culture. Various factors, social demographic profile of a person shapes the meaning-making process. Media does not determine the meaning. Meaning is negotiated by the audience. So this is the largely accepted statement. And a different audience might react to the emotional content in a different manner. They emotionally, critically, and passively. There are various ways in which the audience might interpret in the media content. And audience feedback can even reshape the future media content and strategies. So this is the process in which both will learn each other in order to understand the media content easily. And some of the activities can be carried out in your level based on the interpretation of media content part. For example, choose an advertisement or a meme from the online, any platform, and ask this question: who created it and why they created that? And what meaning is being constructed? Who benefits from it? Are you accepting, negotiating, opposing the intended message? Identify the codes and signs used to deliver this message. Discuss your interpretation with your peers, family members, friends to observe the different readings from the same content. So this is casually you can do that. You'll be surprised to see the differences, surprised to see the varied answers from different people. Might be from our own understanding with a different content, you'll get a different meanings. Thanks for watching this episode.
Myself Gina Jameson and I am coming from Kerala. I have done masters in travel